During the 16-bit generation, the side-scrolling action platformer was the bread and butter of most developers. We saw a huge leap from the 8 to 16-bit generation in sprite size, color, and added visuals like parallax scrolling. When the 32-bit generation launched, a lot of us expected a next step in the evolution of platformers. 3D platformers weren't really a thing yet on consoles, but this didn't stop developers from taking advantage of the 3D capabilities of consoles like the Sega Saturn. The Saturn, who wanted to boast its 2D capabilities before adding an additional processor to keep up with the Sony PS1, was now capable of processing 3D polygons. Armed with this information, developers now set out to add 3D backgrounds and elements into 2D platformers, which we would know later to become 2.5D platformers. These are traditional style side-scrolling platformers with added 3D designs and even extra depth added to levels, which allows the player to move not just side to side, but forward and back within the level. I remember seeing this at the time and thinking, wow, this is the next-gen experience we can expect from all games moving forward. Little did we know this would become a quick fad, as the industry would move on to full 3D platformers in the near future. But what we got left with was some really unique games that would make going back 2 years later a very different experience. On this video, I'll be talking about the best 2.5D platformers. Like most of my videos, I will try to cover all of them, but this video is mostly opinion-based. As I did play many of these as a kid, I am slightly blinded by nostalgia. If you feel like I left anything off the list, stick around and let me know in the comments section. But on that note, let's get into the best 2.5D platformers on the Sega Saturn. Bug 2, the sequel to Bug, was developed by Real Time Associates and published by Sega. It was released in 1996 as a sequel to the original Bug game. In Bug 2, the player controls a character named Bug who must navigate through various levels with enemies and obstacles in order to save his friends and defeat the Queen Kadavra. The game features a mix of puzzle-solving, platforming, combat, and elements, and includes both single-player and multiplayer modes. One of the unique features of Bug 2 is its use of digitized graphics, which gives the game a distinctive look and feel. The game also features a variety of power-ups and upgrades that can be collected throughout the levels, as well as hidden areas and secret levels to discover. Overall, Bug 2 received generally positive reviews from critics who praised the graphics, gameplay, and humor. However, some critics also noted that the game could be challenging at times, and that the camera angles could be frustrating. Bug 2 was my first introduction into the 2.5D genre. Back in the day, at the time, I was absolutely blown away. It may not seem like much now, but for those of us who lived through the jump from 16 to 32-bit, stuff like this was pretty amazing at the time. Clockwork Knight, released for the Sega Saturn in 1994 and later ported to the PC and PlayStation 2. In Clockwork Knight, the player controls a toy soldier named Pepperachu, I'm probably saying that wrong, who must rescue his owner, Princess Chelsea, from the clutches of the evil King Clockwork. The game takes place in a dollhouse, with each level representing a different room in the house. The game features a mix of platforming and puzzle-solving elements and includes a variety of enemies and obstacles to overcome. The game received generally positive reviews from critics who praised its graphics, gameplay, and level design. However, some critics also noted that the game could be frustrating at times and that the controls could be difficult to master. Despite these criticisms, Clockwork Knight remains a popular and well-regarded game among fans of the Sega Saturn, and kind of set the standard for the 2.5D platforming genre. Dark Savior, developed by Climax Entertainment and published by Sega, it was released for the Sega Saturn in 1996. In Dark Savior, the player controls a character named Garen, an humanoid alien who is on a mission to apprehend a dangerous criminal named Bylan. The game takes place on a prison ship in outer space, where Garion must navigate through a series of levels and defeat various enemies in order to reach Bylan and bring him to justice. The game features a mix of platforming, puzzle solving, and combat elements, and includes multiple paths and endings depending on the player's choice and actions. The game also includes a unique combat system, which allows the player to target specific body parts of their enemies in order to weaken them and gain an advantage in battle. The game received mixed reviews from critics, who praised its graphics, music, and combat system, but criticized its slow pacing and sometimes frustrating difficulty. Despite these criticisms, the game has developed a cult following over the years, and is considered a classic among fans of the action-adventure genre. Johnny Bazookatone, developed by Arc Development and published by US Gold. It was released for multiple platforms. In the game, the player controls a rock star named Johnny, who must navigate through a series of levels filled with enemies, obstacles, in order to retrieve his stolen guitar from an evil robot named Mr. Lieutenant Fiasco. The game features a mix of platforming and shooting elements and includes a variety of power-ups and weapons to collect. I sort of like to equate the gameplay to games like Gunstar Heroes from the Sega Genesis. But one of the unique features is its musical theme, which is reflected in the game's soundtrack and the character's design. Johnny is depicted as a guitar-wielding musician with a distinctive rock and roll style, and the game's levels are named after various musical genres such as Jazzland and Funky Town. Mr. Bones was released for the Sega Saturn in 1996. In the game, the player controls a skeleton named Mr. Bones who has been resurrected by a mad scientist and given the task of saving the world from an evil sorcerer named Degulian. The game takes place across a series of levels, each with its own theme and set of enemies to defeat. The game is no walk in the park. When firing this up, be ready for a challenge that can sometimes be downright frustrating. The game features a mix of platforming, puzzle solving, and rhythm-based gameplay elements. And one of the unique features of Mr. Bones is its use of music, which plays a significant role in the game's mechanics. The player must use rhythm and timing to perform various actions, such as jumping and attacking, and can also play musical instruments to gain special abilities.
Midnight. Day one of a new world. Every night the army of darkness gains more soldiers.
Excuse me, did I miss something? What's going on? Oh, I see. Nice talking to you. You will be dissolved. Uh-oh.
Nights into Dreams, developed by Sonic Team and published by Sega. It was originally released for the Saturn in 1996. It eventually got ported to systems like the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 2. In Nights into Dreams, the player controls one of two children, Clarice or Elliot, who enter the dream of world of Nightopia and become the character Knights, a jester-like creature with the ability to fly and perform acrobatic maneuvers. The game takes place across a series of levels, each with its own theme and set of objectives. The game features a unique gameplay mechanic known as flight linking, which involves stringing together a series of acrobatic moves and collecting orbs in order to increase the player's score and fill up meter that unlocks special abilities. The game also includes boss battles, time attack modes, and two-player split-screen mode. This is really the standard for 2.5D and 3D visuals used on the Sega Saturn. When you think Sega Saturn, a lot of times one of the first games that come to mind is Nights into Dreams. Pandemonium was developed by Toys for Bob and published by Crystal Dynamics. It was released for the Saturn in 1996 and also got a PlayStation 1 release. In Pandemonium, the player controls one of two characters, a young sorceress named Nikki or a jester named Fargus, as they journey through a fantasy world filled with enemies and obstacles. The game takes place across a series of levels, each with its own theme and set of challenges to overcome. The game features a mix of platforming, puzzle solving, and combat elements, and includes power-ups and collectibles to help the player progress. One of the unique features of Pandemonium is its 2.5D perspective that we are talking about, and the worlds utilize this very much. What comes across as a pretty standard 2D platformer will see the world rotate and move as the player moves backwards and forward throughout the world. The game received mostly positive reviews from critics, who praised its colorful graphics, catchy music, and inventive level design. The game is often cited as one of the best platformers of its era, and has developed a cult following over the year. A sequel, Pandemonium 2, was released in 1997. Shinrei Jusatsushi Taramaru was developed by Time Warner Interactive Japan and published by Time Warner Interactive. It was released for the Sega Saturn in Japan only in 1997. In the game, the player controls a young boy named Taramaru who has been possessed by a demon and must battle his way through a series of levels filled with supernatural enemies and traps. The game features a mix of platforming, puzzle solving, and combat elements, and includes a variety of weapons and power-ups to collect. One of the unique features of the game is its horror-themed atmosphere, which includes spooky environments, creepy enemies, and unsettling sound effects. The game also features multiple endings depending on the player's performance and choices throughout the game. This game feels like Shinobi meets Castlevania, one of the most unique games in this genre. The game did receive mixed reviews from critics, who praised its unique style and atmosphere, but criticized its sometimes frustrating difficulty and lack of depth. Despite this criticism, I feel like this is a must-play on the Sega Saturn. Skeleton Warriors, developed by Neversoft and published by Playmates Interactive Entertainment, was released for multiple platforms including the Sega Saturn in 1996. In the game, the player controls one of two characters, Prince Lightstar or Grimskull. As they battle their way through a series of levels filled with enemies and obstacles, the game features a mix of platforming, puzzle solving, and combat elements, and includes a variety of weapons and power-ups to collect. One of the unique features of Skeleton Warriors is the use of living armor system, which allows the player to transform their character into a more powerful form for a limited time, much like Altered Beast of the 16-bit era. The game also includes boss battles, multiplayer modes, and has an amazing soundtrack. Skeleton Warriors did receive mixed reviews, and the unique art style and living armor mechanic was praised, but it was criticized for its frustrating difficulty and lack of variety. I really do enjoy this game, but it can be overly difficult in some parts. Well guys, there you have it, my top 2.5D platformers on the Sega Saturn. This is certainly a category that thrives on the console, and every one of these is worth owning a Saturn for. Is there any I missed? Tell me some of your favorite 2.5D platformers in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and you are new here, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you stay up to date with our most recent uploads. If you want to support the channel further, consider becoming a channel member. Channel members get an inside look at how all videos are made and access to members-only live streams where we hang out and play our favorite games from the past. Well, until next time, you even 2.5D bro, I'm the RetroBro. I'll see you on the next video.